Welcome everybody to our masterclass. For your information, in case this is your first masterclass, please check your audio devices and turn on channel 0. And you can also change the volume of the audio on your audio device. Before we start with today's topic, I would like to introduce myself to you. I am Torben and I'm currently studying at Hamburg Media School. Hamburg Media School developed the idea for the first OMR festival together with Philipp Westermeier. And we offer 3 master degrees, one in journalism, one in film, and one in media management. And since then, we are the academic partner of OMR. Today's topic is Let's Make Programmatic Advertising Great Again. And you will learn from Dimitri Gärtner, the co-founder and CEO of Frayman, how big brands use programmatic advertising to become star brands, how you can differentiate yourself from your competitors by using programmatic advertising, and how you can use programmatic advertising to market an audience beyond online ads. So I know Dimitri is extremely motivated, so let's welcome him on stage. Big applause for Dimitri.
That's gut gemacht, danke. So, hi everybody. Let's start with the basics. Who does not understand German? Please lift your hand. All right, who expects me to be in English? All right, we will have this session. Was not prepared, but all the slides are in English, so don't worry, and I will also I will give my best so that you will also follow the presentation. So yeah, as said, I'm Dimitri. Nice to meet you. Who of you guys has ever heard about Frayman before? I'm expecting, 3 hands, nice. So I'm actually very pleased to tell you something new, right? So we all knew what's out there in the online advertising industry. And I think after so many years of big global Facebooks and Instagrams, it's time for something new. But in order to understand and to project where the future could be for marketing and advertising, you need sometimes to make a step back, okay? And we took that step back. We started Frayman 4 years ago. Now we are a 100-employee startup based in Berlin, but we also have an office in London. And yeah, let's do another step back, but not just one step, but actually a couple of years. What I mean are 100 years back in marketing. I assume nobody here in the audience has even a clue how marketing was 100 years ago, besides from Wikipedia. So even I use Wikipedia to figure out how marketing was done. It was much easier. There was just one channel that you were using. Somebody has a guess? A billboard. It was so simple. You had one marketing strategy. You had to focus on this channel. You had to make sure that who you are and what you do. You couldn't use voice. You couldn't use video. But still, it was a channel for some companies to grow a global brand and become successful. 100 years back. I know it sounds like dinosaurs were already at this time. But when actually was the next big leap for marketing? The next big leap where video was invented, where TVs were invented, like 50 years back. And for those who might have experienced that, I did not. This is how commercials looked like 50 years ago.
Please, Mom.
Can you hear the sound?
Please, Mom. Being a mother is not a popularity contest. I'm Ann Blythe. And like you, sometimes I say no to snack cakes. And when I do say yes, it's Hostess, because freshness never tasted so good. Hostess fruit pies, Twinkies, and big wheels. So moist and creamy, you know they're fresh. And that's why they taste so good. Hostess fruit pies, Twinkies, and big wheels. Freshness never tasted so good.
So, first thing that you need to realize, imagine you would have liked the video. You cannot share it. You cannot like it and not dislike it. You cannot rate it, you cannot comment it. You cannot download it. So you literally were exposed to a message and you need to believe it, right? And there was a lot of stuff sold through these commercials that we had to believe. But this is how marketing was done. It was obviously more complex, obviously. And not everybody had a TV at home. But okay, this is 50 years ago, still ages. let's forward now to the last 20 years. Like 20 years ago, there was a next big revolution. I know it's standard for all of us, but we need to recognize that just 20 years ago, desktop PCs and laptops became mainstream. But we still were far away from online advertising. They were the first attempts. There was the new desktop, there was laptop available, but it was still marketed on the TV. Want to see a commercial 20 years ago? I want to see your faces at the end of that video.
I like not standing in line. Instead of standing in line, I just sit here and punch one button, and my book's on the way.
I found a whole range of books from fiction to nonfiction on contemporary American politics, and just had a...
Have you ever seen that logo? I was first like amazon.com. It's like, no, it's not Amazon, it's Amazon. Amazon was pushing their product with TV in order to get traction on the website. And we know it's a big company nowadays. They changed a bit the brand, but this is how marketing was done 20 years ago. But the wild, wild west of online marketing started 20 years ago. The so-called programmatic was born. But it was in the beginning, okay? It was a lot of wild, wild west and trying out how to advertise online. Please lift your hand if you launched an ad around 20 years ago online. Have you experienced this? Yes, I have seen it. I will not point to the person. 20 years ago, advertising was not that nice experience online that we are used nowadays. Who experienced online advertising, at least in the last 15 years, experienced before smartphones? Okay, a couple of guys. I want to expose you to something that will give you a flashback. Don't misspell a domain, otherwise this will happen. And the video is loading. So you might remember the fact when pop-ups were appearing, you had always to chase them. You had to make sure that you have an antivirus system, an ad blocking system. So all this stuff was standard at this time. This was how online advertising started. And luckily, this has improved. Luckily, this has improved because almost 10 years, these type of ads were blocking our browsing experience. There was no standardization yet. The creatives were, in most cases, not beautiful videos. It could not have been streamed. I don't know when you got the broadband internet, like 2005, 6, 7-ish, right? It was not so easy to download a nice video and stream it. So yeah, this was 10 years the standard of marketing. Now we're coming closer to status quo, but I still want to get you 10 years back. Like everybody should remember the last 10 years of marketing, at least. And if not as a professional, at least as a consumer. 10-ish years ago, a bit more, Facebook launched on November 6, 2007, the Ads Manager. It's like 15 years ago, guys. At this time, I remember this, advertising was a banner on the left side or on the top header on Facebook.com. And then over time, like, come on guys, seriously, who remembered banners on Facebook, please? Yes, it's like 30%. But 70% do not remember this. This is how online marketing started, right? And then Facebook came out with a huge innovation. Programmatic ads were not a banner on the left side. It was on the notification icon when you wanted to check who wrote you a message. You see here, Converse has a sponsored ad, very small creative, a lot of text. Not so long ago, August 26th, 12 years ago. And obviously also Google, super big in business with banners. 12 years ago. Who feels a huge difference in quality of banners provided by Google today? A huge difference between this experience and today. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gonna get you on the stage later. So, this is how programmatic advertising was evolving. until a new
Steve
device was
Jobs
invented.
goes to Macworld and he pulls out this iPhone. What was your first reaction when you saw that?
$500 fully subsidized with a plan? I said, that is the most expensive phone in the world, and it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard, which makes it not a very good email machine.
It doesn't apply to business because it doesn't have a keyboard. Wow, he was so wrong. The smartphone was invented, and this was the next step. A new generation, a new device for marketing. We need to recognize that. So there were a couple of very important technology developments necessary for marketing, even before programmatic, in order to distribute the content and also target people. And luckily, the smartphones didn't have the same problems that we have seen in the early internet days of pop-ups flashing, you're like just closing the apps and the pop-ups that are all over your phone. This was done much better. And I think Instagram is a very amazing example for how an app was developed, how community has grown, how business cases inside of the community, like influencers, stories, targeting inside of the feed, targeting in the stories, launching e-commerce. So this is a very great example of how online advertising has developed over the last 10 years. I think everybody's agreeing, like I see a lot of people nodding, and I also agree. I think Instagram is a very good example for online advertising. And I think in the last 10 years, we definitely can say programmatic advertising has reached the state that we knew now. There are DSPs that are connected to SSPs. You can target audiences. You can retarget them. You can find lookalike audiences, like a huge innovation. Like now we're on the channel, but a lot of innovation inside of the channel. And I think this is great because with all the benefits that you have in marketing, finding your audience and driving your revenue and driving your brands, this was important. These were very important milestones to prove that marketing works. But of course, it was not just Facebook and Instagram driving. It's clear that there are many different other platforms contributing with their incremental innovation. Google, later with YouTube and Snapchat. All these services, phones and desktops, are kind of defined as our online advertising world, isn't it? What else is online? Desktop, smartphone. What else is online? We might figure out today.
Anderes Thema, mit dem ich mich jetzt in meinem Berufsleben schon viel beschäftigt habe, mit Display-Bannern. Ich habe ja angefangen, irgendwie Display-Banner zu vermarkten und Technologie hinter Display-Bannern mit meinen Partnern gemeinsam zu entwickeln. Und deswegen finde ich das Thema spannend. Und dann haben wir diskutiert und ich habe mir die Branche, gucke ich natürlich seit Jahren an und habe festgestellt, Display-Banner sind echt nicht mehr so einfach. Display-Banner dazu zu kriegen, dass sie funktionieren, dass sie Aufmerksamkeit ziehen, ist fast unmöglich geworden.
Who thinks Philip is talking bullshit? Please lift your hand. Did you experience something similar? I see people nodding. Can you? Like, who experienced it? So the core message that he said, there is an increasing banner blindness. It's very hard to activate people through the banners. Because 20 years ago, banner was the cool thing. And it didn't experience that great video innovation that it could have had. However, we as Framework, we also advertise through banners. So it's definitely a super important tool in your toolkit. But we need to acknowledge that we're coming to a new era, a new disruptive era for online marketing. I don't know if Googlers are here. Okay, no Googlers. There's one Googler. Next guy on the stage later. There's an innovation that you need to catch up with. I would say there's an increasing banner blindness around the people. And the question is, how do you fight it? Like, how do you make sure banner blindness is not happening? People get your message. You might be a bit more aggressive with your message, maybe. Or you need to come up with more provocative messages and stories and images. And in my opinion, and this is not dependent on Google and not dependent on Facebook, the last 5 years, we're not talking about 10, but the last 5 years, the access to advertise for everybody, anywhere, for cheap money, was decreasing the quality of marketing. And we have a lot of creative automation. Yeah? And we are blasting millions of creatives every second out in the world. Among them is not everything high quality. And here's a creative. I'm already ashamed to show you this, and I really shortened it. But this was for me a moment when I said, I am almost ashamed to work for marketing.
Porsche Panamera, der Hammer! 15.000 Euro im Monat. Danke, Mann. Die Gruppe ist das Geilste.
Is this what you are working for? Like, is this what you think marketing is we can be proud of? People are starting to hate ads. Like, you just want to skip the ad. Like, who doesn't want to skip ad? And we're all working in marketing. Like, it's a great industry, isn't it? So why are we coming down to this level? I don't want to say that everybody is, like, not every creative, not every brand is here. But the programmatic aspect of making it accessible to everybody is obviously bringing victims and compromises to that industry. And here's my question. Who thinks programmatic is out of control? Oh, early movers. Early movers. So, if we look now back the last 100 years, how advertising has developed. To summarize it, like easy. There was a lot of innovation in channels. Maybe the message didn't change a lot, but we definitely were shrinking down the content and in some cases also the quality. So this is, I would say, is a very clear trend. From the biggest size to the smallest size. Now we're talking about metaverse. It's like not any size anymore. Yeah? So what comes next? Before I will show you the truth. Like, what comes next? Anybody has an idea? Smartwatch? AR, VR? Lenses? Marketing in the next 5 years? Nobody knows. I think nobody knows. There are a lot of players in the market that want to tell you what the future is. Some of them are even changing from a very well named to something shorter, like Facebook Meta, indicating there is more future, there is something else coming. But for now, nobody knows. But if this will follow the trend down, more people, lower quality, cheaper CPMs, we all will actually destroy this great industry. We don't want that, right? Sorry for being a bit apocalyptic. I'm a very positive guy. Yeah? You know, I'm crazy enough in Germany to start with an ad tech platform while Google and Facebook dominate the world. Yeah? But we are trying to flip the trend. And I want to go with you on a travel and come up with four concepts that might change advertising in the next 5 years or the years to come. And the 4 points I want to make is, let's make programmatic advertising great again. And I know there are a lot of people here like, stop talking, show me your 4 bullets, I need to go to the next masterclass. Okay, I'm more than happy that you are here. But if you are still here and you want to hear how we could do it, then let's start. Let's start with great content. If I mean great content, investing maybe sometimes a bit more into the creative so that the outcome is much stronger. Not just the click rate, but also the recognition and the awareness and the recall of the ad. Not just scrolling through your feed, there was something that you clicked. No, also remembering something, like something you would stop in. Here's a creative that some of our customers is using at Freeman. So to inspire you, I would call this cinematic advertising. Somebody knows where that is? It's Malta. And I will tell you, without a click, without a QR code, without any call to action, you will never forget that Malta is very beautiful. So one example, obviously you might include here brand, like Tourism Board Malta. But here's another example of one of our customers that are using Framen. They're doing both, great emotions and conversion. So this was a sneak peek, a trailer of the Road to Le Mans with Michael Fassbender. And this content was not played online, not on mobile, not on desktops. This was a campaign supposed to run actually on YouTube, but went to Framen. I know you're still like, what is Framen? You didn't tell us what Framen is. We'll come to it. Framen is a new way of online advertising on a third generation of devices, which are huge screens in public locations. So we do not own the screens. I will explain you the technology behind it, but this is a way how you can reach your audience, very precise and targeted in specific communities, and come up with a call to action. So this masterclass will be all about these topics now. Of course, you can also use all your influencer content, your brands, online content that you're obviously also using, like here Tommy Hilfiger or Anne-Marie. On those big screens, you cannot imagine how great the quality actually is. We are so used to the small smartphones. Where's the smartphone? Imagine I will show you that content on this screen. It's just not the same size. So also coming up with full HD or 4K, why not? This content definitely was produced in 4K. Why do we not enjoy it in 4K? Apple is selling me every year a new iPhone because it's a better camera, but the screen size is still the same. So this is the first step how we want actually to change the marketing direction and give it a new perspective. The ability to show bigger content again, and also in a better quality. That's the first step. But we also want to improve programmatic. I don't think it's out of control. But it definitely needs maybe a bit more quality, so that you know what you buy, and you know which audience you actually get. You always see in your report a couple of views, clicks, numbers, like this person. Which website, where did he browse? So let's make programmatic even better. But for this, we need obviously to think like Instagram or like TikTok and create a new app. And Framen is an app that you can download for any smart TV that's available in the market. Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, you can use the Amazon Fire Stick or any other media Chromecast. And it's not yet made for B2C, it's not for living rooms. It's made for public locations where you can segment the audience. On these screens, we run obviously ads, but also news, engaging content, and we also give the location the possibility to post on their screens own offers, own content. The Framen app is now used in hundreds of hotels, thousands of gyms, thousands of co-workings, almost thousands of bars. I will guide you through it over time, but this is a new way to reach people and places and bring your products there in a great quality. I want to highlight a couple of locations that use Framen. Obviously, if you have a gym, one-man show, it's not a big brand, it's not a McFit, it's not something huge, you can definitely just get the app and profit even in revenues by using Framen. But some of our customers are actually super size public locations. I'm very, very happy and proud that one of our most premium partner in co-working segment is WeWork. Did you know? Who knew that you could advertise in WeWorks all over Europe? Yeah, my co-founder Magdalena. You could reach people that work for TikTok and have 2 floors in WeWork. Recruiting campaign, good marketers, good developers. We have over 1,000 Shell gas station screens. They're using our app. So I promise you, as soon as you will refuel your car next time at Shell, you will notice the screens. They're huge, they're almost 2 meters large, right? Now imagine you are Coca-Cola, and it's very hard for Coke to sell Fusty based on an Instagram ad. Just getting a bottle. We're not yet there. Like Gorillas is there, but you still need to order 15 euros, so it's a lot of Fusty. Yeah? So it's developing over time. But this could be the right last mile impression, activation, especially for all you guys that are in fast-moving consumer goods. This could be a very interesting new channel. Beyond Shell, there are 2,000 Edekas and 2,000 Reves already available to run online ads. Close your eyes. What is in a Rewe? Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Nestle, just a couple of bigger brands with a lot of brand budgets. We have CleverFit, 2,000 gyms, which is on the low budget segment. But we also have up to premium like Holmes Place gyms, where you can reach audiences that are maybe more professional and also willing to spend a bit more on well-being. We just finished our rollout with B&B hotels, like 500 hotels, B&B. I assume some of you are actually sleeping today in B&B, so let me know, I will send you my selfie on that screen. But who's advertising in that case? Uber. Uber is a very recurring customer of Raymond. Why? You want either to activate people when they travel or when they work and need to travel for a business meeting, for example. For Uber, it makes a lot of sense actually to advertise in the context. In the context where you know that people are having specific behavior. Let's come back to the gyms. Dr. Smile had a super great campaign with us this year because they want to reach people that care about appearance. Yeah? Like body shape, physical shape, and face shape. Yeah? Makes a lot of sense for them. And does not mean that's their only channel. I just want to say in order to activate an additional impression in the right audience, especially when you are caring about your body, that's not always the case when you're a couch potato with snacks on Instagram. We're still small. We cannot keep up yet with the global players, but we see the app installs are popping up in more and more countries. It's now 15 countries all over Europe, and you can literally stretch and have a campaign from London to Moscow, from Stockholm to Dubai. Yeah? Because some of our partners, like WeWork, A&O Hostel, Marriott, Shell, CleverFit, some of them are cross-border, and that's also how we grow and tap into new markets. And this is a very important insight that many online marketers don't know yet. Smartphone is not the end of the internet. Actually, this is a new beginning of the internet in a new environment. So locations that want actually to be part of that publishing inventory, they're running through a sign-up process with Raymond. Well, you can download the app. You can download also at home. But it doesn't mean that you are part of the publishing network. So we are showing them which type of screens are suitable. They also have a calculator how much revenue they would earn joining the Raymond ecosystem per year, per screen. So 10 screens, 10,000. Very similar to the Google AdSense network, where you have a website, you implement a banner, and Google pays you. And as soon as you have the app and you connect the screens, like listings, we need some information from the locations because we want to promise you specific audiences, and we also want to make sure that this data is available. And that's the truth. So they're running through a process. They need to submit photos of the location, obviously the address, the amount of people they have in their venues, the average audience size, when is their opening hours, where's the closing hours. And I know it's still pretty broad. Like, I know the standard is extremely high, what Facebook can provide, what TikTok can provide. But we're talking here about a next step of a just 100 employee company that is growing and monitoring that new inventory. This is how all the locations are pinging, the malls, the supermarkets, the gastros. So I have a team that are 24/7 making sure that this inventory is really there and is also active for your campaigns. And in order to make sure that we really have the right creatives in front of the right audience, we even involve the location to double check the creative. Sounds also complex, but I promise you, it's as fast as the Facebook approval process. But the location will see the new ad. Let's say this is VWork. They received a creative from Microsoft, or MediaMarkt here. And they can check, is this creative good enough for my co-working audience? If I approve it, everything's fine. And you as a brand, you also have an insight, because they make sure that it will only be shown to people that might be interested in your content. So, bigger, better, and brand safer. There are many masterclasses that will tell you much more about ad fraud and GDPR and cookies, and I'm not the expert there, but I can definitely tell you this might be an answer for some of the questions you have, or your customers have. This is a new device, and it's very clear that you're not clicking it right away. That's what we are used. The last 20 years, click, click, click. This is the only truth, the click. So we need to come up with innovation, how we bridge the phone, click, and the screen, not touch. And there are many years, nobody was actively addressing that missing technology bridge. And here are some ideas how Framen is doing it. For all the different audiences that are in our ecosystem that you can reach, which means from university students, we have 200 universities. Can you imagine what you can do with all these students? From recruiting, over finding somebody who is working, in a bar, or you need them for any other campaign because you want to target people below 24, 22. The right audience here. So from university to hotel, from health to pub, you'll find almost all the different and same communities you would target online, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Google. And why? Of course, because they are in a community, in a location, in a space. And it's a big difference if you like sports or you do sports. You can like Nike. Doesn't mean that you're a runner, right? So keep this in mind. These are the ways how we first segment the audiences. And then obviously, we use mobile data to verify it. But we also use the campaigns, the outcomes, the scans that we get. I will come later to scans. What type of users are in the locations? Let's give just one example, co-working. 44% are under 30. Another 53% are under 50. And just 3% are above 50. Like, this is a beautiful, very beautiful audience. And I promise you, they're all well paid. They're working for Pinterest. They're working for, especially the software engineers. Right? I'm not talking about the interns. But you will definitely have an audience that gets proper salaries. And even more, let's talk about VWork. VWork is super expensive. Even for startups, it's very expensive to get their rent. Like, this space would be $12,000 per month, right? So you will find also wealthy companies, at least healthy companies, that hopefully pay us good salaries. However, I don't want to promise you the salary side, but I can promise you the years. And I can also promise you that they spend a lot of time in the locations. 8 hours, 46%, some of them even 9 hours. So you're creative, and I took here Vodafone B2B. So they're offering B2B tariffs to those audiences. They're taking a lot of coffees over there. They're having chats, going to the elevator, moving to the floor, back and forth. You will have at least 3, 4, 5 touch points with your audience. And if you want to know how B2B-ish is a co-working space, maybe who has been in a co-working space? So maybe I can make it shorter. 70% have not. It's not just freelancers, broken founders that don't have an idea and are just waiting for a big investor to give them millions. 50% are working for companies with 50 employees plus. So these are million revenue companies. It's worth it for Vodafone, definitely. Here's the creative in action of Dr. Smile. Another way to activate is obviously to use a code. New Smile 300, and it has obviously to be a beautiful creative. You need to make clear what the product is. And if the offer is not sexy, it will also not convert online. So of course, you need also to A/B test. You need to try different creatives. Same logic applies here. Coming to the A/B testing, HelloFresh, for example, here, creative on the right side, that code, left side, that code. You need to play with the creatives. You need to play with the offers, also with the audiences. Maybe it's not the gas station where you will have the mass market. Maybe it's more the gyms where people are hungry after they had a workout, right? So you can play with the audiences, you can play with the locations, you can play with the countries.
Were you one of those people chasing a QR code
Do you know this thing?
around the TV screen during the Super Bowl, even getting down on your knees? Or maybe like this 95-year-old grandma, you were saying, "What is that?"
Did you get it?
No. Did you?
No, I'm filming you getting it.
Or maybe you were at a Super Bowl party with guests who rooted for the code more than for the Rams or the Bengals. It zipped around the screen for 60 seconds. A nod to the old bouncing.
It's a long video. We didn't cut it yet. So this thing was on the Super Bowl this year in February. This was a creative 1 minute from Coinbase. Just a QR code bouncing back and forth like the DVD. The website of Coinbase crashed. 20 million people were trying to catch this QR code and get the 15 euro in Bitcoin worth and win something on top. Well, I thought QR codes are dead, but long live QR codes. And actually, coming back to this technology bridge that is missing, maybe thanks to Corona, there's a revive of QR codes, but it's actually the only reliable process currently of getting a link, a click from another device to the phone. I don't want to say that this is the future and this is everything, that the only thing that will connect it, but this is a starting point. So let's use this starting point. Our customers are using it. Timeout, very famous brand in UK. They were running just, I think, like 3-4 days campaign to get 60,000 impressions in all the co-workings in London. There were 6-7 different offers, like sushi, 71% off, QR code, like not even beautiful, to be honest. Like for my taste, not beautiful enough. But it generated 1,200 scans. So people leaving the office, hungry, chat with the friends. What should we do? Why not? Let's go for sushi. Yeah? You catch the moment. 3% conversion, and they even had to pay upfront, like £22. So it's not just a click, also checkout. Works. Does it work for every brand? No. Is it because of the brand? No. Is it because of the creative? Maybe. Because of the offer, or the wrong targeting, or the right targeting? Of course. Same as online advertising, you need to play and figure out where is your most performing thing. But how can you play and how can you do this A/B testing? This is the next innovation that we're bringing to market. We've developed a self-service ads manager to start your campaign. So you can put your brand in and search by the geolocation where you want to expose your brand. You can do cross-country. Berlin, London, 2 clicks. Was not possible before. Not possible before in that way. without huge agencies involved, but even with involved. And you just click the venues you want, gyms, co-workings, fuel stations, supermarkets, give your daily budget, start, end date, a day, a week, a month, a year, wherever makes sense. Drag and drop your creatives. And save it, go. That's it. Under 1 minute. Under 1 minute. You could take a selfie and bring it out to Hamburg. It will be in many locations, some hotels, and depends where you will be tomorrow and this week. You will see it. You can see your ad. We already forgot that. I'm always joking, say, hey, run your ad on Instagram and ask a random person in Berlin, like, I'm targeting you. Please open Instagram, I want to see my ad. Yeah, I know, it's not a good joke. But it's reality. And we also give you feedback. If the locations like your content, and wherever you are maybe too aggressive, and you should slow down or come up maybe with a different message. These guys have a 100% approval rate for all their A/B testing, co-working Spain, co-working Dublin, co-working UK, Germany. 100% approval rate. Awesome. The locations like your content, so the community will do. Also like your content. Who is Cavalry? Our first NFT advertiser. Cavalry Ventures is a very famous German VC. They launched an NFT collection, gave it to the founders. So they were testing a lot of creatives. They took the head of one of the founders in their portfolio, gave them an NFT. They had A/B testing left, right side. They gave some NFTs for free. What are the results? First day, just small budget, like $200, something like that. 65 clicks. Already second to seventh day dropping. Of course, people have seen the ad very often already after the second, third, fourth day. And you have a cost per click of €3. Can be cheaper somewhere else, maybe. But you need to imagine it's not just a click that you accidentally did. You pulled out your phone. You activated camera. You were trying to chase the creative and to get it. Like, there's a strong interest. That's a very valuable lead, isn't it? What else can you figure out by using Frame? Okay, 77% were iPhone users. 33 Android. Whatever that means to you. But we know that Google Analytics and Facebook are creating big standards in reporting, so we're trying to catch up. We're trying also to come up with this quality of reports. So pick the campaign that you had. Check out how many impressions Frame generated for you, how many spots we delivered in order to get the impressions, how much was your budget, how much was consumed. And you even see the drop here and here in the weekends because co-workings are closed. So we're not delivering your ad if nobody's there. Make sense? You can even see the top performing locations. And I would start from here and retarget and put more pressure on that location. And also look where the clicks are coming from and also retarget on that. And obviously, you can download all the results, CSV, PDF, JSON, wherever you want, whatever your customer wants, whatever your CMO or your manager wants. Take this and put it into your analytics and make your analysis. What you have seen was the Frame Ads Manager. But I know a lot of you guys are actually working with these pieces, right? Like the Trade Desk, Active Agent, Hawk, you name it. It's just many more. We're continuously connecting more and more and more DSPs, which can find our inventory, which can find our publishing infrastructure. And of course, in that segment, which is kind of the public streaming versus out of home, we're tapping into this. We need also to play with the big guys in this market, like Hivestack and Broadsign. But they also already have our inventory, and you can also target it from that perspective. So there's no excuse not to use Frame. So we are bigger, at least we're trying to bring bigger content into the world, safer and faster. At least we try to keep up with Facebook speed. Now my most beloved topic, content is king and context too. So we're not just an advertising machine. Like nobody is opening Instagram to enjoy all the ads, right? You're opening for the content. So we also invest in content. This is a perspective from a business. But this is how it looks like when you run your campaign. There's a fintech, Penta, Berlin startup, fintech. That's how everything comes together. The context, the business situation, the chatter, maybe financial questions in this startup, and also the brand there. But still, we didn't see content. Like this would be content. This stuff is actually super engaging. Like, I would watch it sometimes. This hooks attention, right? And this too. It's not only about bad news. Like the world is also a beautiful place. So we will also care about the great experience that you might have when you look at the screen. And we also make sure that we get your eyeballs for the sponsor after that content. Huh? So sometimes we also do after movies for our customers because they really want to know how this campaign looked like. There's an example how Porsche received it from us. So they uploaded the campaign and they were reaching all the different locations. They were able to see it in the premium gyms, in the co-working spaces, and many more different locations here between the elevators, an example, here in the gym. So yeah, these are the people. This is how we look like. This is how human beings look like. This is how they see your ads. But we are moving forward. So these are just some ideas. This is ideas. It's not Zalando. They haven't advertised with us yet. But of course, talking to us, we're a young startup. We can really come up with new content like we integrate your ad stream or we integrate your offer stream. You get a continuous stream of the recent sportswear of Zalando that is always in the gyms. Continuous stream. Any topic that might be interesting for you, we'll try to work on it. There are many cases from fast-moving consumer goods to fashion to tech to travel, which are surrounded by content. So we are constantly increasing our content offering. This is currently in the pipeline. And this is already live. Besides news and content, we even have Bundesliga license for that channel. Now, how can Fremen pay this? Like, must be a fortune, right? Either they have really, really deep pockets, or some other investor. I will release it in a second. We have built and Welt content running on the screens. Here's, for example, from Welt Sport, in different type of subcategories. Not just sports, also career, economy, people, travel. The latest news are running, not just in German, but now also in English. So we are partnering up with Insider, markets information, business information. And brands could in the future, right? Everything before was reality. Could tag specific contacts and say, I want to be always around when things are about health or food. Right? GoPuff is a real advertiser. So, I think this is a video that was just doubled. Here's another context I want to show you. So we have discussed content and now about context. This guy just checked in. Maybe. He's interested and is hungry. Local restaurant. Some agencies are covering local advertisers. Right? For them it's very important to get that impulse of, hey, we're on the other side of the street. Come on over, try the best Indian restaurant in Berlin. or maybe he's checking out. Hey, running late or raining outside? Get an Uber. Context. Super powerful. You will not need an Uber if you're sitting on your couch. Unlikely, very unlikely. Like Netflix, a bit of TikTok, yeah, and then Uber. Oh yeah, let's stop Netflix, I need Uber. Doesn't make sense. Context makes sense. Here's another example. We met Fisherman's Friend just 2 weeks ago on the D3 Con, and he told me an awesome story. Oh, Dirk, are you here? Might even be here. He said, we are a super known brand. Like, everybody knows Fisherman's Friend. But it's not the typical product that you put on your list when you want to shop. It's that last second impulsive thing that you buy. You can make millions of that with this impulse. And they will run now a campaign with Freeman at gas stations. The last 5 seconds before you reach the product. A small impulse. Powerful, isn't it? But not everything works well. Some context doesn't work. Even if the context is there, the ad doesn't work. I'll give you an example. We had Amorelli as an advertiser. They wanted to reach hotels. You're going to sleep, maybe with your partner. Would make sense. Locations rejected. It's a very high rejection rate. And this can happen, right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's bad, right? But we found the perfect audience for them. The universities. And they accepted it. So this is an example of, sometimes it doesn't work out with Freeman. But sometimes it works out very well. Like, you're spending 30 minutes thinking what to do next summer. And you will become a Dubai expert. You cannot even skip that. So, we're working on becoming bigger, having bigger content, safer, brand safer, faster delivery, and cooler content. Content that catches the attention. And of course, there's a big Facebook behind an Instagram. There's a big Google behind a YouTube. A ByteDance behind a TikTok. So who's behind Freeman? Axel Springer is now our biggest investor, providing us the content, providing us the reach, the access to all the programmatic inventories, providing us the access to the agencies. So if you have ever worked with media impact, you can get Freeman like that. Axel Springer is active in 40 countries worldwide. They also invested in Uber. They also invested in Airbnb. So we think this is a very strong and powerful opportunity for us to grow that new channel. And they are experts in programmatic advertising. So let's take their experience and bring it also into our channel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is how Freeman looks from inside in our Berlin office. This was our first birthday last month. And yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you for the team to work so hard on a super new thing, right? That's Bond. And yeah, I want to invite you guys to check out wherever this might be a very interesting portfolio, new thing for your customers or for your brand to test in making advertising great again. This is the 50 countries that you can see. We're not keeping up with updating it, so the Ads Manager is the source of truth, but this is on the website where you can see, for example, in UK, all the different regions, the cities we cover, and there are like many cities I didn't even know that exist in UK. Yeah? You can drill down into every city if you want to learn more what is available over there. It's kind of our online media kit. Click on London, and you will figure out which type of audiences are in London, from decision makers, tech early adopters, hedonists, performers, adventurers, and where they are all sitting, right? And where and which venues you can find them. Because a location is almost like an influencer. Brings the community together, has followers. Actually, the word community is coming from offline. Just a quick reminder. So, time is running out. One more thing. A bit of promotion, obviously. Come over to the Premium Hall A1, Visit our booth, check out our different venues, see how the ads convert, how they look like in real. How does it feel like to be in front of such a screen in a co-working, in a gym? Have a coffee with us, print your face on the coffee, or just have a nice chat or how tech works, wherever this is interesting for your brand. So we made that video this morning, obviously. Thanks to the team. Alex, you're a hero. And that's the one more thing. Get a 500 euro voucher that you can redeem in the Ads Manager and start your first campaign for free. Right? Why not? If you have a creative that you already use somewhere, let's go and test Framen. Visit us, and thank you, everybody, for that masterclass. That's the official part. And then we'll enter into a Q&A.
So now it's the time that
this
you
is
can
for somebody who
ask
wants to
questions.
connect.
Please ask your question in English so that everybody can understand.
You can also find me on LinkedIn if you want. You can use Slido. If you know how Slido to use, maybe Tyler, could you mic change? So Slido is an app where you can just post a question, or I will also listen wherever you have. Ladies first.
How do you handle context and what was the second one?
Content?
Context and content taxonomies. So it's available for the wide range of advertisers.
Once again.
How do you handle the taxonomies for your location, different locations, different audiences, so that they are available and accessible to advertisers?
So we build the Ads Manager on the IAB standards. So in order to flag it and tag it. Now we didn't invent out-of-home advertising, right? So there were already big companies that have done that before, like JCDecaux and others. So airports and bus stations, subways. This is already well-known taxonomists. There are a couple of inventories and partners, bigger partners that were also active in the market before, but connected now to Framen in order to get the bigger demand. There was also already taxonomy for them. And yeah, let's say co-working is a not existing taxonomy, right? It's also called innovation. So we still don't know if we actually found all the potential taxonomies. We have now the first clubs, like party clubs. Yeah? Isn't that great for Tinder, for cigarettes, for alcohol? Or maybe something more beautiful. Yeah? Could I answer your question? Yeah? Over there? Yeah. Okay.
How do you measure the success of your campaigns?
Depends what you define as result. So if a success for you is a brand lift, right? You can definitely measure. We are now doing more and more of these brand lift studies. For example, the Dubai campaign is a very sophisticated one where we run also QR codes on the screens, literally asking the people, hey, would you consider Dubai, Maldives, or any other location? So we can prove also in locations where we didn't have the ad running, and also ask them later in the face-to-face, for example, wherever we had a 2-3-4% brand lift, and then you can check out how much was the cost per uplift. You remember maybe the NFT campaign, where you definitely measure instantly through the QR code how many clicks you get, how many leads, how many conversions. I would say the standards that you also know from online. However, disclaimer, Facebook and Instagram are perfect. They are 15 years in the business. Our Ads Manager is 6 months old, and it needs a lot of advertisers and a lot of new ideas how to come up with that next step. And especially when you experience that you cannot get more leads by putting more money into Facebook, doubling the budget doesn't make so much sense, you definitely should consider Framen.
Thank you.
Over there? And here. Yeah, it was before.
Thank you for presentation. Quick question for the curious about the methodology for the contact measurement. You have a really fast-growing network, right? So, we used to, to the traditional digital when we have an ad in our smartphone, it's 1-to-1. So we have one impression. There's probably one contact behind the screen. When it comes to digital out of home, there's one impression, and there's X amount of the contacts. So like you have fast growing like network and you're adding some shops, some co-working spaces. So how you define the actual and the truth, what's behind the in terms of the contacts with what comes with one impression?
So it's a good question. So yeah, one spot, 30 people have seen it, right? It's not the same logic. However, it's also not a billboard, where it's almost impossible to say how many people are passing by there. Now every day is different. We do onboarding with our partners, and they have to prove actually that they have people. A gym. How many people go in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Right? They have members. Right? It's a very good indicator. It's not a guarantee that you have every day exactly 8,320 people there. Yeah? And you need also to include, obviously, this uncertainty of perfect amount of people that you reached. Okay? But we can also talk about other channels that also produce a lot of impressions, and not all of them have been human beings, right? So there's always on other channels the same conflict, but we are fighting it with innovation, and we're continuously working on it. For example, you get on Google Maps reviews, yeah, of a location, of a restaurant, of a bar, right? You can take the time series of how often people rate the location. It's an indicator of wherever people still go to the location, and you need obviously to extrapolate and make some statistic analysis if that matches. But you can do another model from the other side, running with such a QR code, get a 1,000 euro Amazon voucher, and participate in that lottery, right? You know, some people say like, I don't need a 1,000 euro Amazon voucher, I get a 6-figure salary, yeah? But you might also have a lot of people that are looking on low budget in hostels and low budget in gyms. They would say like 1,000 euro, I want to get it. And this is how we slowly collect from many different perspectives. Yeah? We're not done yet, but steps by steps. Here, yeah. And I've noticed you.
Firstly, thank you for the great presentation. And I had two questions. First was, I see, the onboarding for you is still like a great challenge, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the kind of people who own the screen are giving the values of how many people, the screens are exposed to, and the kind of, it's all their inputs. So first thing, of course, I think you mentioned about that a bit right now, but, do you see that as a big challenge going forward? Because, it's the photos and everything is coming, all the inputs are right from there. So, kind of, verification of onboarding, first thing, how do you see that, that challenge? And second thing would be, how do you charge your publishers? Is it completely based on, the clicks or the kind of the scans, or how does that look like?
If you would have asked me the same question 3 years ago, I was fully desperate. Yeah? You're like, Samsung produces, based on the annual report, 500 million B2B screens every year that end up somewhere in locations and not at your home. You're like, okay, 500 million screens is a potential, so how can I scale the onboarding, right? I didn't graduate and went instantly into founding a company. So I was previously, 5 years at Deutsche Bank, okay? And there's one thing that you learned at the bank: know your customer. You will not open a banking account for somebody who doesn't has an ID, who cannot prove his residence and doesn't bring some budget to the table. Yeah? So I think this DNA is still inside of me. So we make sure that every screen got verified, and we know they exist, and we know there's an audience, and we know that we are not creating ad fraud inventory. Yeah? However, of course we get into scaling issues sometimes. Yeah? But we try to fight it with more automation and also more verification. Yeah? I remember the call with the B&B hotels. There was like 50 hotels going into a video call, right? And our head of marketplace like, okay, now you all have to move through the room. I want to see wherever the screen really is there, connected, and we see the test ad, and I can prove the impressions synchronized with super manual, guys. Yeah? But even Amazon, went very big, but had to open warehouses in every country. Yeah? It's groundwork that has to be done. And of course, it was for TikTok easier to scale on already 1 billion existing smartphones. Yeah? But it took Facebook a couple of years to make sure that people go from website to mobile. Know what I mean? So yes, innovation is important to open for you guys a new platform. And there was a question, last row.
First of all, thank you so much for our presentation. I have a question with regards to, what argument will you give to big brands who are doing a media mix advertising on classical and the online channels? I mean, you name it, like Facebook, Twitter, or with publishers and also on TV, radio, and so on. Because when I see your presentation, you are an additional medium on top of the classical and the online channel. So what argument will you give in terms of how to map the frequency capping? Because if we are targeting certain target group or a user, then that user also has a mobile devices, connected devices. He is also watching a TV from his living room and so on. So how will you save the marketing budget for big brands, and how will you optimize the frequency capping?
Many questions. You remember the Porsche clip? This was supposed to be an online campaign running on YouTube. Big budget, 6-figure. And they stopped the YouTube campaign. Because they have seen the clicks are not coming from the region and area and this type of audience they were expecting. And they went into an experiment with us. They said, I want actually clicks from Germany. And not from South Asia or other areas, right? So we started the campaign running that in gyms. So we kind of had a better audience and a better context. Plus, Porsche is not a typical out-of-home spender, right? They want a very niche audience. And they actually even figured out in the QR codes that were clicked and were contributing to the YouTube trailer. There were kind of 3 million clicks or so. They got a higher share of voice of women's. In average, they have 90% of male watching the videos. They had a 40% female. So we are a great channel actually to get and tap into audiences that normally do not follow you, that do not like you, that in terms of like your content, right? So you can bring it in front of their eyes. Yeah. So I think there's over and over innovation in different channels, and I'm more than confident that not so many millennials are looking linear TV anymore, right? So if you want to reach students, I think we are the right channel. But of course, there's always competition among all the different channels. And I'm also curious, where did TikTok got the 50 billion ad revenue last year from? So, yeah. And this is innovation, and innovation is important to drive future. And we are driving a bit of innovation. Any further question? So then I want to thank you guys for even staying longer for such a niche, different topic. And I hope I will see you all at the booth. Don't forget it. Get your voucher and connect with Freeman. Thank you.